Welcome back to Board Blitz. This is episode 2, and today I'm going to be building this Kirby style board that you see here. Stay tuned later on in the video for details for how you can get one of these boards yourself for free. If you missed episode 1, there's a link up here and down in the description. Now stay tuned for more tips and tricks along the way, and with that, let's get started. For our rough boards here, we have some hard maple, we have some black walnut. Now they are exactly the same size as far as width and thickness. Now that's going to be crucial. Pay attention, you'll see why. But for now, while they're still over here in the clamp station, I'm going to use a chisel and just scrape away some of this excess glue so that the bumps don't transfer onto the planer, creating a divot on the other side of the piece. Just a quick little pass like this is all you need. Now you don't want to do this scrape off too early or too late, because you want to leave your board clamped up long enough so that the glue hardens. But then if you wait too long, it's pretty hard to scrape it off and you might scratch your wood. I'd say that sweet spot is about an hour, hour and a half. With both of these boards now planed down in the same thickness, which is important. So now the next step is I'm going to secure them to each other by using some of this double-sided sticky tape, putting it right in between them and carefully putting them on top of each other. Now just lining up the edges carefully before dropping this down. So I'll leave a link down in the description for this stuff. This is called spec tape. Highly recommend it. I've used it for a bunch of different projects. So now with these secured to each other, we can take these over to the bandsaw and cut out those curves. So normally with a more intricate design, if you're cutting things out on the bandsaw, you obviously want to mark it out. But for what we're doing, I'm just going to go ahead and freehand it. With this blade being 3/4 of an inch, it doesn't really allow too much of a turn. So you're going to get these very nice sweeping motions in your curves. So as long as we start towards the top of this piece and then curve it in, it's going to do a nice sweeping motion back and forth, a helical pattern. Let's get to it. As you can see, that tape works pretty well. Now I just got to cut a strip for in between here to give it some nice contrast. So what we'll be doing is using this piece of padauk, which has a very nice color when it's finished up. I'm going to cut a tiny strip, maybe about 1/8 of an inch thick, and it's going to go in between both of these pieces. All right, let's mill up this padauk and get to it. With these two pieces of padauk cut out, we're now ready to glue them in here. As you can see, it will be a little tough to clamp them down, and that is expected. I did bend them over and it will work. It's just going to take a lot of pressure. To save some struggle, what we're gonna do is line this up to where it should be and just put a mark or two, right? So right there and right there. And we're gonna do the same thing for this set. So that is gonna help us just in case, we're struggling to get everything clamped up and, we're over here. We wanna line it up appropriately. Okay, I'm gonna take this over to the glue station and I'm gonna load this up with glue on both sides. The thought process there is that the moisture in the glue will seep into the fibers of this wood and it'll make it more bendy, less chances of it breaking. Because I don't think it will, but I also don't want to risk it. With both of the pieces now dry from the first stage, it's been about a day. I'm going to send them through the planer once again, getting each of them the exact same thickness, and then cleaning up this glue edge where the padauk is. Then after that, we're going to secure both these pieces together using the tape once more. I'm going to cut 2 more strips out of this padauk, and then the final glue up. So in total, there's 3 glue ups with this process. So it takes at least 3 days, right? You want to really wait 3 days in between doing actual work on your glue up. Okay, with both of these pieces now planed up, I want this curve to perfectly line up with this curve. So it'll take a little finagling, but we can do it. First up, take a couple stickers, place them down just so that I can reach in and grab them. Going to come over, put on some more of this double-sided sticky tape. And then drop this guy on here. Now what I'm doing is, this is on backwards, so that's not gonna work. So what I'm doing is I'm looking down the edge and I'm lining up these pieces. Now, I'm sure you can really see this, but this piece was once attached to this piece. So I want those to be in plane with each other, but then also I'm looking to align the gap that was created by this little slice of padauk. So this side looks good, and I'm gonna do the same on the other side. I'm just going back and forth and making sure that everything is nice and lined up. And of course, once you mess with one side, the other side gets a little bit out of plumb. So it might help to just use a clamp, get this set going. And then just like that. So that looks pretty good to me. Now, I'm going to carefully lift up, remove that sticker, and then drop this side down. And then same thing over here. Ever so carefully dropping this down. Now, with any luck, that'll stay together, and we can go and take this over to the bandsaw. When we line these up, they should match somewhat, and they do, so that's great. You can see that lines up with that, that lines up with that. All right, I think we'd buy that. I'm happy with it. Looks good. Ooh, gosh, that looks good. So one thing to keep in mind when using a bandsaw is it creates these jagged edges as a result from the blade. So you're going to need to sand this down to create a smooth surface for the glue to adhere from, but be careful not to sand the edges too much, because obviously then you're gonna have a chamfered connection, which is gonna show up in your glue. So I recommend just kind of lightly going over everything. I usually go from 120 to 220 and just make it nice and smooth. That way, when we get our strip in there, it adheres nicely to the smooth edge of the other side of the piece. Sometimes when you're working on a project that has multiple glue ups, you're going to want to take the piece down to the same thickness at each step. I tend to like to use the planer for this as it's quick and easy, but in doing so, you risk taking off a little bit too much. So an alternative is to go ahead and sand the piece down, removing all those high spots, and then using the planer, ultimately losing less thickness. So as you can see here, these pieces I only had to glue up that one strip. So there's only glue in this one area on each of the boards, which makes it really easy to sand down. So I'm just going to take some 40 grit sandpaper in my orbital sander and run it over there, and then I'll plane everything down to the final thickness. All right, well guys, you can see here all the finished products that we have. We have everything from boards that have a short handle and a juice groove to just the standard one with a thumb hole about 12 by 12. These flat styles with a little bit of a larger handle. So today, we'll be giving away this board right here. So this is a beautiful hard maple with the striped padauk and walnut kind of going through it. Now all I'm asking for this video is that it reaches 75 likes and 15 comments. So not much again, right? We're starting very small, very easy. I know you guys can do this. Now to enter in for this contest, down in the comments section, I want you to tell me the last time that you took a chance. I'd love to hear it. Best of luck to you guys. I hope you're doing well and have a great day. See you in the next one. If you'd like to purchase one of these boards for yourself and support the channel, click that link in the description, which will take you directly to my website. Stay tuned for some tips and tricks. Okay, now for some extra credit. What do you think these are going to be for? You probably saw me cut them off, and I'll be cutting a lot more off going through these video series. So, I'd like to know your thoughts. Have a good one.